Hello, it's Crypto CJ. It's a trade of the day, Monday night Zoom edition, and tough weekend. Bitcoin and Ethereum both dumped 4 or 5%, still trending down today. So we had a big drop late this morning, my time on the Pacific in the US. So that was unpleasant. There's been some FUD flying around. Binance halted Bitcoin withdrawals. There's a new BTC20 chain that's sort of bogged down the Bitcoin network, and there's some memes attached to it, and then some idiot dumped a bunch of pictures on it and slowed it down. Bitcoin's not the fastest network. It was first, but it's certainly not the fastest. So even though it probably can't be, cracked or exploited necessarily to steal something, it can be slowed down by nonsense like this. So people were freaking out, thinking Binance was going under and the FUD was flying again. And that probably had something to do with the Bitcoin and Ethereum drops. And of course, those pulled down the whole market. A lot of altcoins are down double digits today. But there could be other reasons for this. I the timing didn't quite work for me. I looked at the Twitter from CZ of Binance, and it was late last night, and we had the drops today, 12 hours later. So it's all suspicious. Not sure what's going on, but those are my theories. So I thought I'd throw them out. Let's go to the chart. Okay, should be seeing my Bitcoin day chart. And it's been frustrating. We haven't been able to cross above and hold 30K. So it looks like we're gonna close in the 27s today. That's disappointing. On Ethereum, same problem with 2000. We can't seem to close above that and hold it. So we're in the 1800s today. And what I have here is the zone we've had for quite a while on Bitcoin. I did make an adjustment on this a few weeks ago, but again, we can't seem to close over 30K on Bitcoin. Any comments, theories, wild speculations about the market before we look for some day trades?
How much do you think Bybit's closing down to US has got to do with anything?
Mm,
I
I
mean, I
I
know a
thought
lot of
that might
people.
be I thought that might hurt, Bybit's token, the BIT token, but I didn't think that would bother the market overall necessarily because there are alternatives. Not everybody's gonna do the diligence to do that to go to those. And the spot trading is still viable. You can still trade on Coinbase, KuCoin, places like that. So I I mean it's as good a reason as any, I guess. I do think it's the Binance thing was the main culprit, but yeah, it could be Bybit mixed in there too. And what Craig's talking about, if you don't know, is Bybit is requiring KYC, sort of going the route that Binance did a couple years ago. You used to be able to access Binance with the VPN. Actually, used to be able to access Binance with whatever you wanted to, and then they went to the VPN, and then they went to the KYC, and so Bybit has grown as an exchange, is now required the same thing. And most of us on this call trade on Bybit for our leverage trades, and a lot of us are moving to BitGet now. So except for Craig, because he's in New Zealand, doesn't have to worry about KYC. So
Well, we still have to KYC, but it doesn't have the
well,
same impact.
that's what I meant. So he can still trade that way. Okay, any other questions or comments before we move on? All right. Well, there's two information sources I like to use, Altcoin Alert and iCoinPro. So we'll talk about both of those. Start with Altcoin Alert, and I am on the altcoin radar. Going to reload. And the first option I do is sort by the AA score. I'm usually looking for 80 or higher, and these two are no-goes. MFT is at a zero price, so this has either gone under or been combined with something else. I talked a little bit about this on Friday. Sometimes the algorithm doesn't catch these things. I should probably message somebody over at Altcoin Alert and have them remove this. A new cipher has practically no volume. KCS is only on KuCoin, I believe. But Phantom is something I trade frequently and I like a lot. And it took a big hit. It's down 11% today. I'm in a long at this at the moment. Let's go ahead and look at that chart, which I had up, and then look at something else. So let's look at FTM. First thing I'm going to look for is a 1, 2, 3 dip on the 5-minute chart. And we're not seeing that set up. We'd want to see something like this, but that happened late this morning. So currently we're in a squeeze and not much room between the Bollinger Bands and above the SMA line, not where I like to get in. So there's a couple options we can do. I prefer to trade off indicator alerts. We'll talk about those in a moment. If you want to do a price alert and try to get in at a prior low, we've got a little bit of support here where it hit late this morning when Bitcoin dropped at right around 35.5 cents. So you could set that alert like this, right click, add alert, crossing the price. And our information source is an AA score purchase. So that's this one. That's what I like to use. And so when it hits that price, the alert will go off and you can reevaluate, see if you're in a dip sequence or recovering from one, or maybe in the middle of one, and maybe you have to set another alert. So that's how you do that. But I prefer indicator alerts on the 15-minute chart. There's 3 different options I use, and we'll go over each one. The first is divergence. Divergence is simply a disagreement between the price action and the indicators. In this bullish divergence here, there's 5 indicators showing positive action, but the candle action is trending down, hence bullish divergence. Had we gotten in on this at 2 a.m., it had a nice 1% move. Most of us on this call are trading some form of leverage. If you're starting out or you've only been trading for a little while, you should stay on spot, like on Coinbase or KuCoin. If you're more experienced, after you've had some success spot trading, then leverage is usually the next way to go. Most of us trade 5 to 10x leverage and some even higher. I like 10x leverage for the strategies I'm showing you. So I'm only looking for a 1% move on the chart. That's a 10% move. I love 10% trades. I like to stack up 3 or 4 of those a day. And if you do that with some consistency, your balance will grow pretty well. If you're trading spot, even 1 to 2% will do really well. On the AA score we were looking at, they're telling you that it's going to go up, 3% or higher in the next 48 to 72 hours. Again, if you overlap those kind of trades, your balance will increase considerably, fairly quickly. Okay, so with divergence, we're going to see, I'm going to look in the recent past and see what they've done. So these over here got 1% or higher, each one of them. And we already looked at this one. This one probably would not have made it. Yeah, it did. So not bad. So each one of these on FTM made the 1% move. The problem, though, with this divergence from any indicators version 4 is it does repaint. So that's why I have this backup one, the non-repainting one. But the first one is indicator friendly, where the second one is not. So I think I got in on this FTM trade either a little early or a little late. I got in here at somewhere in here, and I'm still in it. I had ladder buy once. Ladder buying is when you buy another position after it goes against you. That usually improves, well, that always improves your take profits, but it does add to your risk. I've done multiple videos on ladder buying, dollar cost averaging in 2021, so you might want to look those up if you're interested in that trading strategy. Most people use stop losses. I use a blend of those. And one of my morning alerts has gone off. We might look at that. We'll see. So if you want to set an alert on divergence, right click here. The negative one is the first one. If you're trading spot, you want to go over to positive. If you're trading both directions, you want to set one for each direction. If you want to keep it on all day, which is what I usually do, once per bar close, and then that's an AA score purchase. And then to do the negative, same thing. So 2 alerts on that. So that's the divergence approach, which is sort of a contrarian view. You're trying to catch something that's dipped or pumped and starts to go the other way. We're trying to get in before that happens, trying to anticipate that move. If you want to trade with the trend is your friend, then I like supertrend. And I do cut the ATR period from 10 to 5. And I do a mix of supertrend and divergence, depending on which one's done the best. The downside of supertrend is it's not going to catch those pullbacks like I was showing you with divergence. The last signal on the 15-minute chart was Sunday morning, so we're looking at well over almost a day and a half since we had a warning, an alert trigger on that. The SPY alert didn't do that well. So I think I'd go with divergence on this one, given those two choices. And then the other strategy I like is more in line with the 1, 2, 3 dip that iCoinPro teaches. And that's going to be this RSI strategy. And generally, when the RSI goes up above 70 and starts to dip down, that's overbought, is usually due for a dip, and that's where I want to short it. So we have an example of that here at 8 a.m. Sunday. It pumps up and then it drops on the RSI. As you can see, it took a big dip down. So that one worked out really well. Then on the downside, on the bottom here, when it dips below 30, which is considered oversold, and crosses back up, which happens right about here. Let me bring out my vertical line, show this a little better. All right, so here's the cross. If we get in here, it kind of goes against us. Yeah, kind of break even here, and then probably ladder buy once or twice, and I'd still be in that trade. So that one didn't work out very well. And it did drop and cross above it a couple more times. Here, and here, and almost here, and definitely here. So on the long side, these haven't worked out that well on FTM. It worked out a little bit better with divergence. I was picking up some 1%ers there, but you'd probably still be in this trade if you took it this morning. And if you want to set an alert, want to go both directions. Let's say you're trading spot, you just want to catch the move up. We're going to go crossing up, value of 30 once per bar close, and again AA score purchase, and that'll be the move dropping and then going back up. If you want to catch the opposite direction, if you're trading leverage, we'll go crossing down on 70 once per bar close, AA score, and you're good to go. If you want to do both directions, which is what I usually do, then I like this entering channel option. You put the upper as 70, the lower is 30, and there you go. So you can see on this, it goes over the 70 value here and drops. That's entering the channel, and that would let me know that that's a good time to get in. And that would have been a really good trade. And then the bottom would have hit here, crossed above that 30, and unfortunately, like any strategy, it will go against you probably 40-ish% of the time. So that's where we like to do our ladder buys. Okay, any questions on divergence, super trend, or RSI? Okay. We're about 20 minutes in. I'm gonna go over the rest of them quicker, so if you have any questions, please speak up. So that's the AA score. Another sort I've been using lately is social activity. I'm going to match this up with trading activity. And we can see we have fire on both of these with STX. This was actually up earlier today. It's down a little bit now, but this withstood the Bitcoin drop pretty well. I think that's the alert that just went off. So let me check my alerts. Yeah, positive divergence detected. I click on that alert. It'll go to that chart in that time frame. I'm going to click on divergence, and I've got the potential repainting divergence alert going off, and then I've got the non-repainting one just behind it, if you can see that. Yeah, it's right there. But this one didn't do that well. Might have gotten 1%. Yeah, got 1% on that, so that's not bad. So, but unfortunately, I've got a couple longs open already, so I'm probably not going to take that. But my FTM's in profit. Anyway, I'm going to hold off on that one. Sometimes it'll drift down and trigger again, so I'm going to wait for a second alert on STX. But I digress. Where were we? Okay, we were looking on Altcoin Alert. STX did come up, with fire on both. So let's start on that one from the beginning. We kind of went out of order since that alert went off. So on the 5-minute, it's just sort of lazily trending down, not really doing much. But we got almost 5% between the Bollinger Bands, so we like that. There's room to move. On a price alert, we have some support here, but we're pretty much there already. Yeah, 73, 72.44 cents. That might be a good price alert. In this area here, it hit twice, just below 71 cents. Those are potentially price alerts as well on the 5-minute chart. On the 15-minute with our indicators, divergence looks pretty good, both directions. Yeah, obviously this long did really well. This short might have gotten out here with 1%. Otherwise, you're going to take this wild ride, but eventually get out with probably a couple ladder buys right about here. And then these bearish divergences probably would have gotten out either here or here. So these all look pretty good. This one obviously looks good. And these two we don't really know yet. We just looked at those. So divergence looks pretty good on STX. Supertrend, not bad. The short from last night, yeah, pretty good. The short from Saturday, yeah, maybe. So Supertrend looks pretty good too. And then I've got the RSI alert set already, and I tweaked it a little bit. Instead of 70 on top and 30 on the bottom, let's look at this. I've got 68 on top and 34 on the bottom. That's based on some of this prior price action, like this one here. This move down didn't get all the way down to the 30, but it had a really nice move up. It's a little riskier sometimes. Why did I go with 68 on this? Not sure why I did that. Anyway, yeah, these all look pretty good. I think I caught that one. Yeah, I'm in this STX long. Unfortunately, it's gone a little bit against me, but we'll see. Haven't been in it very long. Okay, any questions on stacks? Okay, I forgot to turn off the alerts on my Telegram groups. How rude of me. So I'm going to do that right now. And all right, done with that. Okay, so that was STX. We're going to look at one more on Altcoin Alert before we head over to iCoinPro. And so we looked at the AA score, social activity. The other one I like is the long-term sentiment score. I like to match that up with the Elder Impulse. Long-term sentiment is the comparison of the Twitter data, what people are talking about online. Elder Impulse compares a couple technical matters, so when they match up, that's a good thing. But we only got 9 positives or bullish on the Elder Impulse that match with the long-term sentiment. However, we do have this UMA token. I was looking at this on Coinbase. It's not available on leverage as far as I know. So we're going to look at this strictly as a potential spot trade. And we're starting on the 5-minute. And it's bubbling out, but kind of just lazily trending down. We're at the SMA line now, so not a real good place to get in. There's some support. I'd probably look at putting my price alert here, the bottom of the Bollinger Band at 2.6 at 261. We're pretty much at support at the moment. Support on the 5-minute charts right around 267. We're only a penny and a half above that, so that's not real useful as far as I'm concerned. The 15-minute chart with our indicators. Divergence looks good. If you're looking for, I'd say go for about 3% on this. You're going to hit it pretty easily multiple times. You got an alert here, here. Yeah, you probably don't quite get it there, but you definitely get it here. Same thing here. This one doesn't work for you, but this one does. So there's 3 good trades there. We don't know yet about this momentum divergence. Probably down 1% at the moment. So those look pretty good. I think supertrend was pretty good too. Yeah, but it's not triggering that much. But all 3 of those would have done well on the buy side. I don't know if we did a supertrend alerts. Show that example real quick. With this one, you have the buy, the direction change, and the sell. On spot, you're going to use the buy exclusively. If you think it's going down, trending down, and you're trading leverage, you can go with the sell. I like the direction change. That lets me know when it goes either direction, once per bar close, and this is long-term sentiment. So maybe it's Elder Impulse. Yeah. So that's that one. And on our RSI, it's held up pretty well against the Bitcoin drop, so it's not dropping to 30 on its retraces. Sort of nudged it here on Saturday. This one, I think you'd want to set an alert right around 32. You catch these 2, maybe 33, you catch these 2 moves. So right click on RSI, we're going to be crossing up 33, once per bar close, and that was Elder Impulse sort. So that's how you do that. Okay, we went through 3 different sorts on Altcoin Alert. Any questions on what we've done with this information source before we move over to iCoinPro? All right, let's go over to iCoinPro. home of the 123 dip. It's a very conservative trading platform. It has an information source that you can use to find trades. Also, quite a bit of training on how to, as I mentioned earlier, pile up a bunch of 1% and 2% trades. So there's two information sources I like, the RSI Spy and the Buddy Coin Crawler. Now I can sort by the 1 hour RSI, which I've already done. And I'm looking for values of 30 and below in the last 1 hour. And so coins like this have been beaten down are usually due for a recovery. But since we had that big drop late this morning, early afternoon, pretty much everything is below 30 at the moment. That makes this a little less useful than usual. Um, so Chili's is one I was looking at earlier. This is a coin I trade with some frequency. Volume's pretty good. It has a lot of movement. On iCoinPro, we've got these drop-down menus. You click this, click Trading View, and it'll take you to a 5-minute chart with the last layout you were looking at for the particular coin that you just clicked on. So we're on the 5-minute chart for Chili's on Binance. And this is the dip. They all dropped late this morning, and it's gone pretty much sideways ever since. So, and our Bollinger Bands are only about 1%. So not a great entry at the moment. Got support right about where we are, 11 cents. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Let's look at our divergence and super trend. Okay. Bullish divergence looks pretty good. This one's interesting. Yeah, I'd probably still be in that trade. So actually these bullish divergences, none of them have panned out yet. So I'm not liking that. Might want to stick with the super trend on this one. Yeah, it's done pretty well. The last 3 have been profitable, but only 3 trades since Saturday. But pretty accurate. And when you're using trend-based trading, I should have mentioned this earlier, it's good to have a couple other indicators to confirm, like the sell alert triggered yesterday afternoon, and the RSI is trending down, and the MACD is crossing. So those are, what we call it confirmations that can help you make a decision if you want to take the trade. So obviously those worked out pretty well on the sell side. So I like super trend on this one. On the RSI, the values that went above and then came back down did well. The values that came below went back up to have not. So I think I'd stick with the super trend on this one. Okay, any questions on Chili's? Right. We can also sort the reverse on this if you want to look for a short. Look for value 70 and higher. We don't really have any of those right now. If I get something at 68 or 69, I might look at it, but we don't really have any of those right now. My STX trade just closed in profit. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Yeah, I don't see any good ones here on this sort. So the next one I like is a Buddy Coin Crawler. I like to term Buddy coins. I usually choose 5 or 6 of them each day. Those are the coins I'm going to follow through the day and set alerts on. And so on iCoinPro, this sort here, average low to SMA is a 24-hour low. The SMA line is that red line you see between the Bollinger Bands. And when the values are, say, 4 or 5% or higher, that's room to move. So those coins are usually, they're moving. So that's what I want to look at. And most of these aren't necessarily coins I trade very much. Reef occasionally. I've been trading Optimism lately. OP. Do I have that up here? No, I don't. Let's look at that one. I don't have it on my list. I should. Okay, on the 5-minute chart, again, if we look at this is the SMA line, and we've got almost 3% in what otherwise looks kind of squeezy. This big move here. So this one's been moving in the last hour or 24 hours. I don't see a good entry now. Support here at about $1.67. We're not that far from that. That might be a good place to get in or reevaluate. On a 15-minute chart, divergence on the long side looks a little iffy. Looks good on the short side. Not sure about this one. No, probably still be in that one. Maybe not. Drop. Yeah, I probably would have ladder bought. The 2% moved against me and then gotten out right about here. So that would have applied to either of these two situations. This one. Yep. So all these worked out pretty well. This one we don't know yet. Not sure why. This shouldn't print on a red candle. That's a little suspicious, but we got our 1%. So I'm liking divergence on optimism. Super trend. It's a little bit easier to trade and set alerts on and sort of grasp. You know, if you're not, I didn't trade divergence till I've been trading nearly 2 years. So sometimes it's a hard concept to deal with. Super trend is much easier. And most of these did pretty well, except this buy alert here did not. Yeah, that goes. Yeah, it'd still be. No, I'd been stopped out on that one. And actually, the buy alerts are not doing well on super trend. I like divergence better than super trend on this one. On the RSI, this move on Saturday night did really well. This move on Sunday morning, maybe if you got in about here. Yeah, pretty good move there. If you caught this one, yeah, RSI is looking pretty good. Don't quite hit the threshold here. Let me get this move. I think we're probably might still be in this trade. Yeah, probably out of it. So the RSI and the divergence look good on this. Super trend, not so much. Any questions on OP, optimism? Okay. Well, we're at about 35 minutes. This is where I pretty much like to be. Do you guys have any questions or want me to look at any tokens that you're interested in day trading or short-term swing trading? All right, you guys are pretty quiet today. Well,
Hey
I'll stop.
CJ, I have a
Ethan,
question for you.
go ahead.
Hey, how often do you uh, take into account price action? Candle arrangements or comparisons, that sort of thing.
You mean just looking at the individual candle as an entry point or a series of candles or
Well, like for instance, if you've got an encompassing candle, let's say, on a previous candle, like you got a head and shoulders, that sort of thing. How often do you look at that as far as a way to verify what it is you're seeing as far as your indicators and that and whatnot?
Well, you bring up a couple things. One of them was structures. I don't look at structures much. I probably should. The iCoinPro people are now into that. They were not when I first started with them, um, but yeah, they're mentioning that more and more in their forums. So, uh, but again, they only really work, in my experience, around 60% of the time, and the other things I'm doing. And it's hard to apply percentages because your money management really determines more where your profit is than a structure. But a lot of people like them, so if you do, then that's that. You won't get any argument from me. I do look at candles. Now that I'm automating my manual trades for ladder buys, I'm a little more cavalier on my entries than I used to be. When I was doing it more manually, I would try to get a candle going my direction before I traded, but it can just as easily do something different the next candle. So I'm more interested in support and resistance than specific candles. But that's just me. Did that answer your question or
I just wanted to know your opinion.
all right?
Yeah,
And you gave it.
aren't the those patterns you're talking about much more for swing trades and longer term rather than the scalping that you're doing?
I think so. I'm only going for 1% on the chart, so I'm less interested in those. But knowing the big picture can be helpful. Certainly knowing the general direction of the market. But I'm trading, I emphasize divergence and dip trading, so I'm a contrarian most of the time. But on the trend, the super trend, then you definitely want to know that. So good question. Any others? All right. Well, I will end it here. If you're watching on the recording, thanks for that. Please check out the opportunities in the pinned comment. They help fund the channel. If you are a Carbon member, please stick around. We'll start that Zoom shortly. Bye.